Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It's Friday morning when I'm recording this. And of course, we got to talk about Harry and Meghan. There's been so much going on. It's just one thing after another. We hear one thing, we see something else. One report says this, one report says that. Secret meetings that have been leaked, all kinds of speculation in the press, competing stories from royal reporters. It's all kind of starting to sound like a conspiracy theory. Well, you know what? A conspiracy theory is just a truth that hasn't been verified yet. And I mean, just this week, in my video, The Watershed, concerning the royals, I laid out 3 truths that were considered conspiracy theories that we now know are verified. So conspiracy theories are dropping like flies. You know, at this rate, there's going to be none left in 5 years. But yeah, Harry and Meghan, what's it all about? Well, I have gone in great detail in several videos of what I believe their role actually is. And I think they are useful idiots, agents of chaos. I think they're being used by agencies and NGOs and pushing certain agendas. We know Harry's a globalist. We know his father is a globalist. In fact, Charles is one of the 3 founding members of the World Economic Forum, along with Klaus Schwab and oh, good grief, Václav Havel. Yeah, Charles is the original globalist. We hear all about the World Economic Forum, and it's really funny. I mean, I hear some royal reporters saying, "Oh, the World Economic Forum has enticed Charles, and he's doing their bidding, and this is not. We got to get William in." Here's the thing. They don't realize. Here's the picture again. Charles is a founding member of the World Economic Forum. His thoughts and his vision, in part, is what drives the World Economic Forum. He hasn't been led by the nose into something that he didn't know he was getting into, like some people would like to imply, like, oh, this isn't good for Charles. Charles is, was, and always has been a globalist. Charles is, was, and always will be a feudalist. He will always be an entitled elite. What's good for thee doesn't necessarily matter to he. No. As king, as monarch, I mean, he's got so much freedom within his realms and around the world to exercise control. And the royal family, with their, going back to Philip, World Wildlife Fund, he was one of the founding members of that, along with a couple of his elite buddies. And it wasn't about saving the elephants. It was about securing land for the elites, driving the natives off the land, having control of the resources of the land. You see no difference in Harry and his African Park scandal right now. Centibelly, African Parks. Same model, same activities. The only difference now is that Harry and his cohorts, they're not as savvy as Prince Philip and his buddies were. They don't know how to manage something without raising eyebrows, right? Also you've got this situation where with social media now and the web and everything, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was a lot easier to set up these globalist systems than it is now, that's for sure. But, Harry he hasn't managed things sensibly at all. We all know their foundations and their charities and this and that. In my opinion, and as we've seen, and I've said it many times, with most of these big foundations and charities run by any elite, not just Harry, they're usually a front for something else. It's just the way it goes. You look at any of these big charities and just for example, the wages of the people at the top and where the actual money goes. How much of the actual money goes to the purpose of it's that kind of a thing. And they're all guilty of it. They are all globalists. And here's the thing. You hear a lot now from a lot of people saying, and I've had a premise for over 2 years. Look at my King Charles III Life Imitating Art playlist. Look at all my playlists. The time loop's important to the story too. But what I've been saying for a long time, because even before Charles became king, he was not really as respected as you would hope a future monarch would be. I've been saying for over 2 years that I thought there would be a seminal event, a buildup of events to the point where the backlash against the king was so widespread that he would be compelled to step down. And I've maintained that the pressure to step down would come from William. Now, we know, going back decades, William and the king, William and Charles, have always had a contentious relationship. This is nothing new. We know they're more so opposed to things now. Sorry, just turn my phone off so it didn't beep. Whatever. There's a lot of things they don't agree on. And with Charles, controversy. Holy crap. You can go back to the 70s and the things he was saying. Go back to the 80s and 90s. Well, the whole Diana thing. All of that. The Black Spider memos. The Cash for Honors scandals. One of my very first videos, Ask a Silly Question, still holds up today, even though the Duchy of Cornwall has passed to William. Some small changes have been made, but check that out. He's not well respected even as a landowner, as a landlord, by the people of Britain. There's just so much, and since he's, even before he became king, and now we're getting to something meaty here, because this is really important. Um, Before he became king, Charles was saying that he wanted to be known as defender of faiths, not defender of the faith. As supreme governor of the Church of England, the monarch is defender of the faith, the head of the Church of England. Supposedly meant to subscribe to, believe in, and work to protect and promote the Church of England, of which he is head. Charles has not done that. No, he hasn't. He's a very weak leader. The Church of England is in disarray. And traditional royalists really believe in the meshing of the monarch and the faith, the religion of this country tied to the monarchy. They feel very strongly with that, and due to several factors, social, well, my opinion, social engineering and unabashed immigration, the demography of Britain has changed, as it has here in Canada, in the Western world. Notably, the white Commonwealth, you have to say what it is. Canada, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, things are changing. And it's by design, because they wouldn't all happen all at the same time. We know this. But back to Charles. Now, Charles was influenced very early on by one of his mentors, Vanderpost, Miles Vanderpost. God, I thought I was going to forget the name for a minute. Yeah, he was a philosopher, mystic kind of a guy, and we know the royal family from going back, way back, all of them, all involved in mysticism and all that occult stuff. Yeah, that's tied right in with the way the royals operate. So here we go. From a young guy, from I guess they met when Charles was perhaps in his early 20s or something. Charles became an acolyte of his, and he was all about mysticism and looking at things differently. There's a big difference between Christian faith and mysticism. One is Christianity, whoopsie, and one is a cult. So just there you go. Sure. I would have thought, and in his education, I believe Charles was given tutoring, I guess, on the church and whatever, but even though it appears to have been that Queen Elizabeth had a strong faith, it didn't translate to Charles, and apparently neither did the importance of the whole constitutionality, monarchy, religion, holding the country together, and this is your purpose kind of a thing, seems to have been lost on him. And it's not just some kind of vague belief that he wants to embrace everybody of whatever faith. No, even that's a lie. We've seen, especially since he's become king, we have seen where Charles's sentiment lies. Packing dates at Ramadan. Recently, a giant meal. He hosted a giant meal at Windsor for some Muslim festival. It's always something. Giving speeches saying, you know, we've got to just really embrace, you know, the Muslims and no. An ugly truth that nobody wants to address because everybody's so worried about being what we used to call politically correct, you know, diverse and inclusive. You can't criticize them. Oh, no, you can't. Europe, Britain, the Commonwealth, here in Canada, we are being overrun. And that's not an exaggeration. You can look online, look on any online newspaper, take you 5 minutes to research, and you can see what's going on in any large city in the world. It's an invasion, and it's by design. It's by design to break down society. My opinion. The World Economic Forum's opinion of how things should be. King Charles, he's on board. See him at every Muslim festival. Never see him at a Jewish festival. He didn't say much at Easter for the Christians. You know, it's just that's overlooked. He is showing his preference. Some people actually believe he may have converted. It's a huge problem. Here in Canada, look up Sean Feucht, Feught. He is an American evangelist, a Christian prayer leader. He sings songs, people pray, they get baptized. It's a Christian day out. It's a revival. Canada was founded on Christian values. In the preamble to our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, it states that we are under God. But this guy, and he's been coming to Canada for 20 years, leading worship, you know, in churches. They'll rent a field, get all the proper licenses and this and that, and permits and porta potties and the whole. It's a day out. It's, you know, a Christian revival service. Well, he's been banned and harassed, kicked out of venues, but they don't refund the money, you know, all across Canada. But he keeps persisting because that's what you're supposed to do. He was just here in the GTA. He was in Toronto just a few days ago. He had a smoke bomb thrown at him in the church. In Montreal, they had police. They had police outside the CBC, our state broadcaster, trying to tell him, oh, he doesn't have a permit. He needs a permit to worship. He said, you don't need a permit to worship. This has caught the attention of Donald Trump. Christianity has been under fire in Canada for a long time. Now it's just getting noticed. Because this guy's got more tour dates coming up in Alberta and BC, and some politicians are trying to shut it down, calling it hate speech. He's American. Oh, there's a picture out there of him with Donald Trump, so he's MAGA. He's a danger. Meanwhile, and this whole you need a permit to worship, right? Meanwhile, in downtown Toronto, we have got acres of Muslims in the middle of large intersections stop traffic, block the road to pray in the middle of the road. And this has been going on for a year. None of them have been arrested. None of them have been smoke bombed. None of them have been told they need a permit. None of them have been given a $2,500 fine. So it's intentional, in my opinion. What's happening here is happening in Britain. I've watched news reports. A lot of Jewish people in Britain are scared. They're scared to be out and about in London because of all it, between the Muslims and, the refugees, the people in the hotels, the irregular immigrants, that's what they like to call them there now. Between the Palestinian protesters, it's getting dangerous out there. Yet the government, the British government will throw a woman in jail for a tweet she made. She got a 3-year sentence. I just heard the other day they're commuting it, and she's going to be let out soon. Unbelievable. The Online Safety Act in Britain, and they're trying to do the same thing here in Canada. It has blocked all kinds of sites. 4chan, some people can't even get into WhatsApp. Some things I've heard, you need age verification for, all kinds of things, and some things are restricted. It has nothing to do about safety. It has everything to do about control. And that's a globalist idea. Why do you think Harry's involved in the Parents Network and online safety and restriction? Well, he thinks free speech is just ridiculous. It shouldn't be allowed, right? Just another globalist operating for the globalist agenda. He's doing his part. He's doing his part. That's why he and Meghan are protected. But if you watch my video from the other day, things are getting a little sketchy. And I think I'm watching for a couple of events, because you can almost plot this out on a graph if you've been following my time loop playlist. It's pretty interesting. We're getting into some interesting times. But back to this whole thing. Charles and the church, and he's now seen as weak, not only in managing the church, he can't even manage his own family. Brits don't enjoy the optics of the king attending certain events and saying certain things and absolutely ignoring the English people. with everything coming to a head, and this is why I think, where I said we're at the watershed, we're at that point where we're going to start the things I've been saying, yeah, we're going to start seeing them. This is what the secret meeting, it wasn't about, oh, Daddy, I want to come home, and how can we find a spot for, what can Harry do? He may always continue working for the agenda, see how things go, but it's never going to be in an overt way. I mean, we know this. We can see it. But to the average person, to the normie, it's always going to be monarchy good, Harry bad. Two heads of the same coin. Two heads of the same coin. Like I said, a lot of it is optics. We get to see what they want us to see. That's how that works. And I have some ideas of what's going to occur with Harry and Meghan over the next little while. And it just depends on a few tweaks in the timeline, what happens next and when. But I think it's like a ball of moss rolling down a hill. And it's just gonna, or a snowball, just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why I call it the watershed. But now, what we're approaching now is the point of no return for Charles, given his illness, given his state of mind, given the state of the country, the world, the public, and the protest against him. William's going to step up, and we can already see evidence of this. We already see it. There's subtle indications in the press. William stepping up. William, acting kingly. William taking control of this. William being a statesman here. William and Catherine and the kids moving into Fort Belvedere. The place is a friggin' castle on something like 62 or 72 acres in Windsor Great Park. It is a fortress. And given you gotta contend with Harry and Meghan, those couple of lunatics, plus everything else, yeah, they probably need a fortress. So that's the story, that they're looking to Fort Belvedere. And we're in summer vacation now. I bet you we hear, by the next time we hear something, they're already moved in there before the fall, before the kids go back to school. I wouldn't doubt it. And I mean, but there you go. A very kingly resident. William's setting up shop. William's setting up shop. He is. And I think it'll be I don't think it's going to be more than 6 months that Charles will announce that he's stepping down. And whatever excuse he uses, the stress, his strength, the cancer. I've been saying this before there was a diagnosis, and I really think that we're getting close to that. And I mean, the world has been watching William since he was born. A lot of people lost a lot of respect for Charles. during the Charles and Diana years and the way he treated her, what happened. A lot of people still have that opinion of him. Not everybody's a fan of Camilla. You know, I'm not. But, and Charles, he's not a strong man. He's a very emotionally driven man. When you get to a point beyond hurt, all you can do is walk away with your tail between your legs. I may be completely off base. I may be completely wrong. But I've been saying it for over 2 years, and when you look at the way William has made these little movements, little changes, things he's projected to the press, things he's said, I think I'm on track. So that's something huge to watch for William taking over. And you know, the world, I think the world will rejoice because, like I said, everybody's looking to William since he was born, the great white hope, King William. There was a lot of years that people spoke about the prospect of perhaps skipping Charles altogether and just going straight to William. Can you imagine? That's... And Charles hasn't done much to improve his image. All the things I said, all the scandals, the neglect to the church. So let's look at that, the neglect to the church. Is anything going to change when William becomes king? I don't know. Charles wants to be leader of the faith, defender of the faiths, plural. William doesn't care at all. Reports say he's not terribly religious. It's not a thing to him. The showing up to church on Sunday, which when he's king he might well do just for the optics, well, it's one of those engagements we're stuck doing. But he is not a man of faith, right? Not particularly a man of faith. So, whoopsie, stop moving around here. The fact that, you know, the thought that he might defend the church and try to correct the church after these years of neglect and wokeism, and I don't see that happening. I don't see at least King William leading a revival of the church. If there is going to be one, it's not going to be, because I don't think he cares that much. So as we've seen for quite a long time, excuse me, my itchy eye here. We've got a failure of the Church of England to thrive while all the immigrants and all the Muslims are pushing for legal recognition and religious recognition, and before you know it, you can't buy land that isn't halal, like here in Ontario. It's just all the things. And people are saying, oh, come on, be tolerant. You know? Here in Canada, we have signs on our beaches. Southern Ontario, the GTA, Greater Toronto Area, it's all beachfront property, man. Lots of beaches. We've got signs on all our beaches. Don't poop on the beach. Because the sand people come to the beach. They don't look for the public washrooms. No, they'll just squat wherever. On the beach, on the streets. That's what's happening here. It literally is becoming a shithole. It's not just Canada. It's happening in Britain too. You bring in people that do not mesh with your society. You can't expect them to fit in. My opinion, you can't deny what you see, right? So King William, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Is he gonna restore faith in his Christians? I kind of don't see it. But I do see something else disturbing. And it's funny because if you're kind of a person that researches things, this is something that I came across like 30 years ago. And you go, how are they ever going to manage that? That'd take a lot to turn people on a dime like that. But over time and incremental steps, problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic, those are all things you've got to look up to understand how they do it. Here we're at a place where the traditional foundation of one society is being run over by a new and much more savage one all around the world. Way back, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there was a little kerfuffle in Europe called the Crusades. And it wasn't just Christians out for blood being savages, killing everybody, and the Crusades were a response to an Islamic invasion that lasted 1,000 years. They wanted to take their country back. Kind of what people are feeling now. And where is the king? He's sitting down having meals with them. Yeah. Hosting them at Windsor Castle. So what do we got? We got King William in a post-Christian Britain. What's that going to look like? What's that going to look like when you remove the foundation? Something's got to fill it up. Something's got to be there to replace it. But, like I said, something 30 years ago, and it's like, shoot, I can see it now. I can see it. It's already in place. The new religion is already in place. It's already got a lot of followers. I am talking about the green agenda. Climate change. That's a religion. It really is. Well, it's a cult. Let's call it what it really is. It's a cult. Let's block out the sun to save the earth. Let's chop down all the trees to, It's insanity. Carbon capture and windmills, and the whole thing is a bloody scam. It has nothing to do with saving the earth. It is everything of putting you under control, while bringing in truly pagan worship. History repeating itself. Back to that. Yeah, yeah, look at this. Look at this. We've got to go to solar and wind, and we can't use oil. We can't use fossil fuel. First of all, it's not fossil fuel. Oil is like the blood of the earth, and it regenerates. Do some research. They're lying to you. Let's eat cricket. We gotta get rid of the cows. You shouldn't be eating cows. You shouldn't be, cows farting. That's killing the earth. I even saw a report out of some dingbat scientist in Britain saying, oh, people pooping. Oh, bad, bad. These people are insane. But I guarantee you, every other person that you run in onto the street, oh, climate change. I gotta recycle. I'm saving up to buy an EV. I gotta save the earth. I only eat meat. The whole vegan bullshit. That's social engineering. It has nothing to do about health. Go into any supermarket and pick up a frozen vegan meal. Look at the chemicals in there. It's not food. It's not real. It's a trick. Everything they're telling you is a lie. Everything is to move you into a particular direction. And then I got a tickle in my throat. Yeah, it's to corral you. Look at what the World Economic Forum wants to do. They don't believe that access to fresh water is a human right. It's something you should be rationed. They don't want you eating meat. Everything. Pick a friggin' topic. Pick a topic. Pick any one thing your friggin' government is doing, and I don't care if you're in Canada, Australia, or Britain, Great Britain. Pick one thing your government's doing. You can trace it back to the World Economic Forum and the head of your Commonwealth, King Charles. And they're moving things in a particular direction. We all got to be under the green agenda. We all got to be under the green religion. It's a religion. It's a cult. Climate change, yeah. If you don't believe it, you're a criminal. There's some crazy people that would, climate deniers. We should lock those people up. They're dangerous. Can you imagine? Stupidity. But yeah, that's where we're headed in a post-Christian commonwealth, is earth worship. And we see it already with all the green agenda. Earth Day, and, that the plants and animals are more important than humans. We're the problem, right? And And now, but how do you go from a place where, from Christianity to pagan? How do you do it? Well, like I've said many, many times, a lot of it is social engineering. They're moving you towards a certain way. And I mean, that's right. From bike lanes to recycle bins to forestry management and air travel and the cost of a steak. It is all driven by the agenda to slowly incorporate more and more and more control on you. You know, um, and how will people accept it? Well, they already are. There's a lot of people that are convinced, about the whole climate change things. You've got whole swaths of people on neurological medication because they're depressed or suffering anxiety at the state of the world and climate change, and Trump's a fascist, and I mean, they're insane. The crazy people are running the world. The crazy people are running the world. And a lot of the public is embracing it. Look at the rise. And you could say even like from the 70s, this has been, well, the 60s. You talk about a social experiment. We'll talk about that one day. But yeah, we saw evidence of this paganism seeping into the British church, going back to Prince William and Catherine's wedding. The groves of trees up the aisles. That, in sort of occult things. And there was William and Catherine themselves. There's a whole occult thing. The sun god, the moon goddess. This is the kind of. And I sound crazy, but this is the stuff that these guys believe. So it behooves us to understand how they think and what motivates them so that we know what the hell is really going on. Everything is one big occult ritual. There's many occult rituals broken down. You can find all kinds of information online about signals, occult signals throughout the ceremony. It's really too much to go into here, but if you're interested, and I mean, I've talked a lot about how the royals are really tied to these occult rituals. It's part of what they do, who they are. It's part of their identity. We saw it in King Charles's coronation, a very overt reference. Just on the invitations, you had the green man. You didn't have a church symbol, and which is surprising because a coronation is primarily a religious service. But yeah, the green man popped up. We've seen it since. Most strikingly, and this is the way it's going to go. This is the way it's going to go. This is what I figured out. This is the way it's going to go. Like with William, we see, he's going to end homelessness, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do that. Right? Catherine. You can't make this up. Before her illness, I mean, we saw Catherine in all kinds of venues. She's a very sporty woman, very sporty girl. That's fine. You saw her on the field. You saw her playing tennis. You saw her sailing. Now we see her giving moving, almost spiritual sermons from the middle of a forest grove. The occult symbolism of that. Wow. Now we look at that and we don't see it, right? I say something like that and you think you're a friggin' crazy woman. But this is the thing. You have to understand. You have to understand what they think, what they believe, how they project things, why they project things. It's all part of a wider ritual. And I've been looking at this stuff for years. That's why you can spot it. I mean, I know I sound crazy, but look at it yourself. And you'll see what I mean. Yeah. She's gone beyond creating a children's garden and playing with kids in the garden, and that's fabulous. She's now giving us sermons from the middle of a forest glade, which is a very occult symbolism place. Go back to pagan rituals. That's where they're all performed. That's where we're seeing her now. Nature is her faith now. She's told you that. I come out. I'm in nature. This is my faith now. So you got the Sun King and Mother Goddess in place for the new religion in a post-Christian Britain. That's what I'm seeing. Hope you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let's talk about this. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.